God will always bless a grateful heart. God will always, you will never run out of things to give to somebody who is grateful. And even in my life, when somebody thanks me for doing something, I begin to think of other ways I can make their life easy and other ways I can become a blessing. That is how we are wired. Somehow, that is how God is. Remember with the testimony with Jesus, like those guys who came and were healed and they didn't come back. They were healed, yes, but they were not made whole. But God was able to make the people whole. That guy who came back, out of the 10 lepers, he came back alone. He thanked God, and God said, not 10 that were healed, but only one came back. So let's not be like the other 9. Let's be the 10th guy who came back. And when he came back, guess what God did? He made him whole. As we are praising God, maybe we are praising God because now God has helped you in your academics. God begins to help you in other areas of your life. God begins to help in your finances. God begins to help in your relationships and in other things that concerns you. So that way your life will become whole. You're welcome again to yet another beautiful YouTube video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we want to talk about something very close to my heart, and it's something that I had to ask God to help me, and God is still helping me. It's called gratitude. And gratitude can help keep unbelief. There are times where like trials and challenges in life can make you to doubt who God is and what God has really done in your life. But when you are practicing gratitude, it would really take you back to realize that God has been God. In my life, I've got a few things that I have written on my list. It's 10 things that I know very well that this was God. On the list, I've got some of my educational qualifications that God gave me. I've got times when God paid my school fees. I've got times when God rescued me from a trouble that I'd gotten myself into. But realizing and knowing that I know. You need a list of those few things. There may be 5, there may be 3, that you know that this was really God. This was really, you can't attribute it to yourself. You can't attribute it to anything, but you literally can only attribute it to God. I have that list. It's pasted on the wall of my bedroom, and it helps me because there are times where doubt kicks in, and I'm like, God, are you really there? You're seeing what I'm going through, and when shall you answer me? When I am in those phases, I just look at my board and I look at the things that I wrote, and then I remember how God has been good to me, how God has shown up for me. These are things that I don't need anyone to explain or preach to me that I need to be grateful. It's things that I just know that this always has been God. We need to be grateful. We are now living in our answered prayers. At some point, getting a degree was a prayer for you. You prayed, you didn't have hope. In my case, I didn't have hope. I couldn't even write my high school, but remembering where God has taken me, that I wrote my high school. Yes, it was the next year, but I see the hand of God, because when I wrote, I was still in the same issue. I didn't have money, but when God showed up for me, he sent helpers to pay for my school fees. And I remember other things that God has done for me, and I list them and I write them. The Bible says, count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will make you to realize that God has been good. God has indeed been good. Sometimes we don't realize it because we are the social media generation. We go to our Instagram and we see the thing that we've been believing God for. Somebody else is walking in it, and maybe 5 other somebody else's are walking in it. They have received that miracle that we have been believing God for. But we forget to say, look, I may not have this particular thing that I'm praying for, but there are a lot of answered prayers that God has answered. I remember for myself, as I was not living in my country, and I would get tired. Sometimes it can be so frustrating living outside of home, and I would be so frustrated. And I remember there's a time I just made a prayer and I just said, God, I'm tired of living here. Please take me home. And I didn't want to come home to sit. Like when I'm living here and I realize that maybe like something doesn't go the way I wanted it to, I become so I forget that I'm literally living in my answered prayers. There was a time I was so tired and so wearied and worn out, and I made that God, can you help me out of this place? And now that I'm out of this place, I forget that I'm living in my answered prayers. I want you to think and look back and remember how many answered prayers you're now living in, that you forget and you focus on what you actually want. We are always focusing, sometimes I feel like this thing about goals and all that, it has made us to lose so much touch. I feel like our parents, maybe the generation before us, they had it better, because when they sort of, I believe, like, got to enjoy the moments, like got to enjoy the special things that they had in their life, when they could get their salary and go and buy Fanta and buns and be happy. They lived in the moment. But for us, it's so hard, because even when you get your first salary, you buy yourself maybe something, a cheap takeaway. You go on Instagram, you see your friends posting, going to the most expensive restaurants. Already you don't get to enjoy. While you're there in the restaurant, you will not already enjoying, because your mind is upon the next thing. So instead of robbing ourselves of the joy and gratitude, like when you actually realize this is my answered prayer, like for me, when I realize I'm living in my answered prayer, it makes me to be even happier. Like when I'm here, like realizing that this is what I've always wanted, and this is what I prayed for at some point, and I enjoy that thing, and I enjoy having my degree. I enjoy living in the place that I've always wanted to live. I enjoy each and every moment. I enjoy even this dress, because at some point I would see it and be like, I wanted this, but God giving me the simple things of this life, the simple, literally very simple things, should make you to be happy and to realize that I need to be grateful for this moment that I'm living in. I like to believe that this has helped you and inspire you to just be able to go back into your life and count your blessings, name them one by one. They don't have to be 100 or 50, just 5 things that you know that this is God. Place them where you can see them, and always remember, when times are tough, when times are rough, that this God that He has carried you through. A friend of mine, she used to like to say the God of the valley, like the God of CTA. I was doing my CTA. I did CTA level 1 and then CTA level 2. Level 1, and I passed it by the special grace of God. I passed 3, had 2 subs, and the bottom line here is I passed it by the grace of God. So I passed my level 1, and then I went to level 2. Level 2 was hard. So I would always complain to my friend that I don't know how I'm going to pass this. And she would always tell me, blessing, the same God of level 1 will take you to level 2. So let's remember that the same God of primary 1 is going to be the same God that will take you to secondary 4 and take you to university and take you through each and every stage. So as you are in grade 1, and I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen in grade 7, so let me enjoy grade 1. When I get to grade 7, I'll get there. Like, enjoy the moment where you are, because believe you me, with every level the challenges become more and more. So enjoy, be grateful for where you are before the other place comes. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thanks once again, guys. Bye, and I'll see you in our next